The burn team of Limbus Company has been starving for content for a while now. The team got a new ego very recently, but the last burn identity was released over 8 months ago. And to add insult to injury, that identity is exclusive to the Walpurgisnacht event, meaning that the newest identity you can get right now is over 10 months old. However, all of that changed with the release of Ardell Blossom Star Faust. This identity has finally brought some much needed freshness into the burn team, but we still need to answer one question: is she strong? And well, you've read the title and seen the thumbnail, so you know I'm not going to sit here and tell you how flawless the new Faust is. But still, she's not entirely useless, and in fact, she can be a pretty good identity if used correctly. My frustration with Ardell Blossom Star Faust lies in something other than her power, but if you want to know what that is, you'll have to watch until the end, as in today's video we're delving into our newest burn identity and what she can and cannot do. But before we start, you know what time it is. It's time to tell you that most of my viewers are not subscribed, and if you find yourself coming back to my videos or end up enjoying this one, consider subscribing to never miss my new uploads. It helps me out a lot and takes just 1 second. Without further ado, let's get back to Faust. We'll start by quickly going over Faust's kit. Then we'll look at her performance inside of Burn, and after that, we'll talk about how you can use the new identity outside of her signature team. And of course, we will end off with why I believe that this release is quite disappointing. Faust's first skill is Ignition, and it rolls up to 15 power with its conditionals up. The skill deals more damage when Faust has 10 burn or more, and gives her 7 burn and 1 burn count. A fun thing about Faust's skills is that some of her conditionals take both burn on the enemy and burn on Faust into account, making them much easier to hit. This is the case for all of her skills. The coins of the skill give Faust 4 more burn, and inflict up to 5 burn on the enemy. Faust's second skill is Ego Activation, and it's a Pride skill that reaches up to 22 power. It also deals more damage for every 10 burn on Faust, up to 20%, and gives her 4 burn count. Also, the conditionals for the skill are absurdly easy to hit. The coins of Ego Activation inflict 5 burn, and if the enemy has 15 burn or more, the skill also inflicts 2 burn count. Faust's skill 3 has 2 variants, so we'll look at them in order. Drawn by Flame is the base variant, which goes up to 25 power with all conditionals, and gives Faust 7 burn and 1 burn count just like her skill 1, but at combat start this time. The skill deals more damage for every 5 burn on Faust, gets base power from burn on Faust and the enemy, and also gains coin power based on Faust's missing HP. Though it's worded weirdly, I think this is meant to say that Faust gets 1 coin power per 30% of missing health. The coins of the skill very simply inflict 6 burn. The cooler version of Faust's skill 3 is activated when she uses the skill at 30 or more burn. A.B.S. max attunement Degraded Corrosion reaches 28 power with full conditionals and has 3 unbreakable coins. After using the skill, Faust straight up dies. However, if she drops to 1 HP while using the skill, she cannot die before her own explosion. The skill also gets damage and base power from burn, as well as coin power from missing HP on Faust. However, in addition to that, it also gains attack weight for every 20% of missing health on Faust, up to 4. Of course, with this, the damage of the skill skyrockets. The first and second coins of Degraded Corrosion inflict a total of 8 burn, while the last coin gets some extra damage. For Faust's defensive skill, we get an Evade, which gains coin power when Faust has 10 burn, and when using the skill and evading with it, Faust loses some of her burn, allowing her to survive longer. As for Faust's passive, she's got 2. The first one, Fireproof, does exactly what you would think. Faust cannot die or get staggered due to burn damage. Faust's second and main passive is Fire Moth, and it requires 3 Wrath resources owned to activate. The fun part of the passive is its first effect. At combat start, if Faust is at 80% missing HP or more, and she also has less than 30 burn, she gains up to 30 burn. This can be only done once per encounter. At turn end, Faust gets offense level up for every 6 burn on self, up to 5. This means that proccing the first part of the passive puts you at the offense level up cap instantly. After these two effects, Faust gets some on-death perks. She gives ego resources and inflicts burn on all enemies. If she died by her own explosion, the perks are improved, and Faust inflicts more burn on all enemies, gives the same amount of ego resources, and also applies 3 offense level up on an ally that subs in for Faust if she had 30 or more burn on death. For Faust's support passive, she allows an ally to inflict a lot more burn with their attacks. The burn infliction is turned into burn count if the enemy already has 30 burn. Simple and effective. With that, we're done with her kit. Now it's time to talk about Ardent Blossom Star Faust in Burn, her signature team. End of rip, you are going to use her. Burn is so starved for content that no matter how mid Faust might be, she's still better than other options, as the other options in question are a Lu ID that's almost a year old, or other Lu IDs that exist solely to lose clashes, deal no damage, and look stupid. However, Faust doesn't need burn to function. She can very easily hit her skill 2 conditional with only her own burn stacks, and her skill 3 gets more value from burn on Faust than on the enemy as well. Skill 1 is definitely an exception here, as hitting the double buff can be difficult without a burn stack on the enemy, but the power of that skill arguably matters the least. In terms of burn infliction, Faust is actually pretty good. Compared to her peers on the team, she inflicts a decent bit more burn without setup. However, once Ishmael and Otis get their ego passives, and Sinclair awakens his ego, Faust becomes an average inflictor in comparison. And unlike the aforementioned identities, Faust does not get any synergy with her burn ego skill. She doesn't fuel it, and she can't even use its passive. I'm not trying to say that 9-2 is a good ego that needs to be synergized with, but it literally does not even work here. But in reality, there are a lot of things that Faust does well in the burn team, as much as I want to make her seem unimpressive. Her burn infliction being high without setup is great for hitting early conditionals, which allows her teammates to clash better. Faust's raw power is also not to be underestimated, as her second skill is actually awesome, due to having low requirements for bonus power, and her third skill can also deal a great amount of damage to one enemy, if given the right setup. And we have to talk about her explosion eventually, so let's do that right now. Yes, it deals a ton of damage. Yes, that damage can be quite ridiculous in the perfect scenario. But is the explosion worth losing a unit over? I'd say it depends on a lot of things. Mainly the type of encounter you're up against and the team Faust is on. If you're fighting a boss, there's no point in sacrificing Faust, especially if the boss isn't blunt or wrath weak. If you run in pure burn, the identity that comes in instead of Faust will inevitably be a huge downgrade, so using the explosion early in a long battle is also ill-advised. But when Faust is fighting a human encounter with blunt weak enemies, especially if she's on a hybrid team, her explosion is her biggest selling point. And this brings me to Faust's performance outside of burn, and the thing that pisses me off the most about her kit. Because, in one sentence, Ardent Blossom Star Faust is awesome on non-burn teams, especially for things like Refraction Railway. If you're up against a human encounter, more specifically against a blunt or wrath weak human encounter, you have a ton of choices in terms of identities. Among them is Faust, with her uniquely powerful alternate skill 3. Unlike Burn, which has no good substitutes for Faust, a hybrid blunt team has a whole lineup, so losing Faust after her self-destruction is no problem, considering that the ID that subs in will likely be even stronger. Speaking of other IDs on a hybrid team, Faust's strongest synergy is not with a Burn identity, but with Wild Hunt Heathcliff instead. This is because Heathcliff has a literal revive ability on his passive, which, get this, allows Faust to explode more than once. and getting 2 back-to-back attacks for 1000 damage that instantly wipe whole waves is actually insane. You might have seen videos of Faust exploding some poor minimum wage workers in Refraction Railway 4 just to come back to life and explode again. This isn't going to come up all the time, as most encounters don't last long enough for Faust to get 2 explosions off and be optimal outside of Refraction Railways, but I would be shocked if she doesn't make at least 1 encounter faster in the upcoming Refraction Railway 5. And by now, you should understand that I see Faust as a good strong pick in multiple scenarios, which can be used with great efficiency when fighting the most important late game content. Then why does the thumbnail say she's disappointing? Is it purely rage bait? Well, partially. I do like seeing numbers go up, and surely at least a good chunk of the people watching right now are here to see what kind of crack I'm smoking to call her disappointing. But in reality, I am distraught on the behalf of the Burn community, because after what felt like eons without a Burn release, the game finally got a new identity. And when other teams are getting so much content that there's pretty much no one left over from last season, Burn gets an identity that doesn't even need a team built around that status effect to function. And say what you want, but I don't think this is what the team needed. An identity with strong offensive output that requires a ton of burn stacks to work would make the team a lot more interesting. If that was the case, the godforsaken Lu identities would be more valuable, as they can inflict a bunch of burn which would set up that burn reliant hard carry. An identity with weak offensive stats but crazy AoE burn infliction would also work well, as with the new Magic Bullet Otis Ego, getting Dark Flame stacks for high burn damage is easier than ever. But instead, we're left with an ID that just has the word burn in her kit. No notable synergies, no reliance on other burn IDs, just an above average damage dealer for burn standards, who just happens to blow up on the one team that struggles with backups. Is this going to not be a problem in 2 months once burn gets stronger? Yeah, probably it will. But I have to whine into the microphone to get impressions. Also, I could be entirely wrong. Who knows? Only you guys in the comments can correct me or agree, so make sure to leave your thoughts down below. And with that, my overview of the newest addition to the RR4 hybrid team has concluded. Faust is an identity that has a lot of potential, but ends up only using part of her true power in Burn, whereas outside of the Forgotten team, she can be pushed to her limits and destroy any enemy in her way. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like to let me know, and if you want to see more content like this, consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye!